So I started taking YouTube very seriously in 2020. I posted hundreds of videos and thousands of hours of content, but I realized that y'all don't really know anything about me like that. It was until I was hanging out with someone who does follow me. I told them my whole story on how I got into making music, and they were sitting there like, bro, I've been watching you for like years, and I didn't know anything about you. So with that being said, this is how I became a full-time music producer. So for some reason, I never had the concept of what a music producer was. I guess I kind of just felt like the beat just magically appeared whenever someone wanted to make a song. But that all changed when I saw an episode of Rhythm Roulette. Now, for the people who don't know what Rhythm Roulette is, it's basically when they take a music producer, they blindfold them, put them into a record store, and then they have to pick out 3 records at random and sample them into a beat. Amazing series. They had an episode with Eric Ark Elliott from the Flatbush Zombies. I watched it and I immediately fell in love with the series. So now that I have this newfound passion, I did what any other respectable person would do. You know, you feel me? I got my financial aid money from the junior college I was going to at the time. I bought a laptop, a MIDI keyboard, FL Studio. I started going crazy, bro. I'm not gonna lie. But here's the problem though. I know nothing about creating music. I've never played an instrument before. I never tried to sing. Nothing like that. I have no idea what to do. Now don't get it twisted. Like, music is like a really big passion of mine at this time. My mom would always play R&B throughout the house when we were cleaning on the weekends. I love that music, but actually trying to make it though, I didn't really know nothing. Now, little did I know, making my first beat was going to be the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. You see, YouTube tutorials wasn't really that much of a thing in 2016. Shout out Busyworks Beats, he was going crazy. So even after watching videos, I still couldn't find out how to construct an actual beat from beginning to end. So I quit because I genuinely couldn't understand it. But to be honest, there was still a fire and a passion inside of me that wanted to create something. So I knew I would always come back to it. Now at this time, I recently left my job at Target and I started working at Firefox doing physical security. I don't know if y'all have ever done physical security before, but there's a lot of downtime. Like a lot of downtime, bro. A little bit too much downtime if you ask me. And after a couple weeks of working there, you know, there's only so much Netflix and YouTube you can watch at one time. So I started getting bored. So out of boredom, I tried making beats one more time. We got to give it one more shot, you feel me? And I finally made something that I like. Now, I don't have that beat with me anymore, but I do have the Snapchat video that I made when I first previewed the beat. You know, the typical and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I'm gonna regret showing y'all this video because it's really embarrassing, but I feel like it's really important to the story. And also it kind of shows y'all that you can start anywhere, literally anywhere, and you can still make your dreams happen. You can still achieve something that you wanna go do. So without further ado, yeah. Whoa, yeah. So believe it or not, that was the beat that started the vicious cycle of wanting to create something better than what I made yesterday. A cycle that I'm still going through till this day. So after making that first beat, there was a lot of rinsing and repeating. Watch a tutorial, implement what I saw in that tutorial, and then make a beat. And at this point, I'm fully hooked. I'm making beats every day. I'm watching content on how to make beats every single day, beat making interviews and everything, bro. Like, I'm fully in the sauce. And I'm even getting to the point where I'm starting to put my beats on SoundCloud, YouTube, and Instagram and stuff like that. Now, should I have been posting these beats online? Not really. But I will say the delusion of how much I love those beats really gave me the confidence that I needed to be a music producer. Hey, and shout out to all my friends and family for lying to me and telling me that the beats were good, because they definitely weren't. But that positivity for surely helped. Now let's fast forward a year. I'm making beats every day. I'm going to community college and I'm working 2 jobs. I'm working at Phil's coffee shop and I'm also doing the security job for Firefox. Now, I ended up crashing my car and I had to pay like $10,000 in damages. I'm gonna have to save this story for another time. But just know, with all those things that I mentioned, I'm also taking the bus and the light rail to get to where I need to go, which makes it just even more difficult to make this work. And at this point, I basically have no time for music, which leads me to the next crossroad. I had to drop out of college. So I genuinely wanted to do music full time at this point, but I knew I needed way more time to work on music to actually make that happen. I was 23 years old at that time, and I told myself, if I'm leaving college, I need to give myself myself 4 years to make something happen, to prove that I can do music full time. Now remember that part for later on the story because it's very, very important. So at this point, I dropped out of college and I'm working my 2 jobs to make sure I pay off that debt in full. And any free time that I had, I'm making music. So at this point, this is what a normal day would be for me. Wake up at 5 a.m., get ready, then I would go over to my first job at Phil's Coffee. And low-key, shout out Uber because they had an option for Uber Pool and it only cost me like $5 a day to get from my house to the Phil's job, which was super clutch at that point. And then I worked there until 12:30, get off, go take the bus, get to Firefox by like 2 o'clock, and then work there from 2 to 10, go home on the bus and light rail, go to sleep immediately, wake up, do it all over again. So whenever I was making music, I was doing it on my breaks, my lunch breaks. I would sneak off when I was working at Firefox to make beats in like cubicles or like meeting rooms and stuff like that. And shout out to Firefox because they never made me get in trouble for doing that stuff, even though I absolutely deserved it. After grinding out that schedule for a long time, I was able to pay off my debt. I got way better at making beats. And then I was able to quit my job at Phil's Coffee. All right, so now it's 2020. Now 2020 is when I saw a lot of growth because I really started to build my online presence. I started going into the Thizzler Instagram lives a lot, show off my beats, try to get as much exposure as possible. Also in 2020 is when I started taking content very seriously. So I'm posting on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok on a very consistent basis. Now, in addition to this, I also started doing sound kits. Now, the first sound kit I did was called Slap City Loops. Wasn't the greatest kit, but hey, got a lot of positive reception, and that positive reception really motivated me to make more kits. And now we get to the boring part of the story. All I would do is just wake up, make beats, make content, go to work, go home. I did that like every day for like 2 years, I want to say. And that's it. That's what the magic was. Now, in addition to what I said, here's really why this is the boring part of the story. Because if you want to achieve your dreams, you really have to sit there and do mundane tasks every single day to actually get better. So if you really want something, do the boring things every single day. And you have to sit there and be consistent in what you're doing and getting better at what you're doing. And that's like the real secret to getting what you want. So from 2020 to 2022, there isn't really much to say. Like I switched from Firefox to Seagate. And yeah, I started getting a little bit more placements. I started making a little bit more money and the social media numbers started going up too. So it was really just that wake up, make music, make content, get it edited, go to work, come home, and we're just grinding that out constantly. All right, so now it's 2023 and things are going pretty well. The social media numbers are going up and financially, I'm making about $5,000 profit every single month. Now with $5,000 a month, that's a good income. You feel me? Like that's something that someone can live off of. People do a lot more with a lot less. So that poses the question, why didn't I go full time at this point if I'm already making a decent amount of money from everything? I was just too scared to do it. I'm 29 years old right now and I've had a job ever since I was 16. So having a job always kind of felt like a part of my identity. So taking the leap into going and doing music full time and being like self-employed was terrifying, bro. Like I didn't want to do that. Like I was not with it, bro. But luckily, something else pushed me into making that happen. I forgot to bring my Nintendo Switch with me, so we're gonna pretend this is the Switch, and it's actually the reason why I was able to do music full time. So when I was working my security job over at Seagate, I kind of started to get bored on the watch. And since I was already on my phone a lot when I was working that security job, I was like, what's a little Switch gonna do? I'm already preoccupying my time doing this. What's the difference between doing this? They saw a big deal with it though. I kind of pushed the boundaries. I kind of pushed the line a little bit. I ended up taking the Nintendo Switch and I went up to one of my coworkers and I was like, hey bruh, you trying to get whooped on in Mario Kart? So I set up the Switch, handed the controller, I hand myself the other controller and we're playing Mario Kart. I got whooped on, I ain't gonna hold you. He was better than I thought, but it's whatever. And literally the next day, my manager walks in and he hands me a picture of me and my coworker playing the Nintendo Switch. Long story short, he fired me on the spot. And you know what? I'm not even mad at it. I would have fired me too in that situation. But little did I know, him firing me was going to be the biggest blessing that I've ever received in my life. Now, after he fired me, I decided to do music full time because at that point, I felt like it was a sign from God. And if God's gonna sit here and give me a blessing, I ain't finna disrespect it, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. Now, keep in mind, I just told you I've had a job ever since I was 16. This is my first time getting fired. So I had to call my mom and be like, hey, I got fired, but like, hey, everything's gonna be all right. And luckily she believed in me and she didn't really give me a hard time about it, which I mean, hey, shout out to my mom, shout out to mother. All right, so boom, now I got fired. What changes? What's life looking like now? Honestly, not much different. It was basically waking up, working on music, going to sleep, and I was just dedicating all of my time to it because I was like very scared. Because like once it becomes like your full profession and it becomes your only source of income, you kind of start looking around like, oh, everything can disappear. I gotta make sure I'm working extra hard. So I was just going crazy every single day. And due to me having more time, I was able to make things better and make them bigger. You feel me? So with me dedicating way more time than what I originally had, it's safe to say that things ended up blowing up for me. So I ended up taking my monthly revenue from 5,000 to 10,000 at this point. I'm getting more songs with artists that I love. And at this point, like, I'm like, hey bro, I need to have some fun too. So I ended up taking my dream vacation to Japan. And in that same year, I also toured across Europe and linked up with a lot of special producers that meant a lot to me. Shout out J Cactus, shout out Wizza, shout out Lollipop, shout out Ellis, shout out Jack, shout out Skana, and shout out Pat. And at this point, I really felt like I'm starting to live the life that I've always wanted to live. Now, all this happened when I turned 27. 4 years from when I first made that promise to myself that I needed something to prove that I could start doing music full time. And that's actually why I have this right here. It's my termination papers. I framed them and I hung them up in my room so they can always be a reminder to me that sometimes our greatest fears can really be the greatest blessings in disguise. I'm out, brother. And I'm filming by myself right now, so I'm mad paranoid. So I'm looking around everywhere. I'm looking around everywhere, bro. Oh, wait, let me lock the car. Dude, every time I hear something, I get mad paranoid that someone's running up. I see people walking around, bro. I'm fucking. Low-key, we should do a counter of how many times I look back. Pause. Are you paranoid, bro? Why is there a plane? There's no airports near here. Why is there a plane going off? There are people walking around me and it makes me nervous. There we go with the planes again, bro. There's no airports near here. Now there's cars and a plane going at the same time. Like, what's good, bro? I forgot to bring the Switch with me. Pause. Whoa, that sounds crazy. I don't even hear anything, bro. I just be looking around. There's like a security guard, so I'm just curious if he was gonna walk over here or not. I think I'm good. If you coming over here, bro, please don't come over here, man. I said, dang, bro. When I pull up, she like, dang, bro. Hit it in the whip like I'm the bang, bro. No, cut that out. Like, hello, people who are walking by on the sidewalk. Here's how much money I make.